Have you noticed rent finally dropping in a few places, but not everywhere? That's because in 2026, only 5 U.S. cities are seeing a real rent collapse, and the situation is getting ugly fast. Vacancies are rising, landlords are offering free months, and some buildings are sitting half empty. In one city alone, rental listings jumped almost 40%, and prices fell more than 10% in a year. This isn't happening nationwide, just 5 cities where the market flipped so hard that owners are getting worried and renters suddenly have the power. If you're looking to save money, relocate, or stretch your retirement budget, these are the places you need to watch. But each one comes with a few big warnings too. All right, let's break down the list. City number 5 already shows signs of a serious rental crash.
Austin used to be the city everyone wanted to move to. Tech jobs, big salaries, and the cool factor pushed rents to crazy levels. But in 2026, that same boom has turned into Austin's biggest problem. Austin built more apartments than almost any other U.S. city over the past 5 years. And now, thousands of those new units are sitting empty. Here's the real data. Vacancy rate jumped past 13%, one of the highest in the country. Year-over-year rent drop, about 11 to 14%, depending on the neighborhood. Available rentals, listings up nearly 40% compared to last year. That's why landlords are panicking. Free parking, zero deposit, discounted rent, even 2 months free, offers that were impossible 2 years ago. Let's talk neighborhoods, because not all of Austin is crashing equally. South Austin and East Riverside, where the biggest declines hit. Domain area, too many new luxury units, not enough tenants. Pflugerville and Round Rock, rent slipping but not collapsing. The truth is simple. Austin overshot demand. Tech layoffs slowed migration, investors overbuilt, and suddenly, renters have options everywhere. But before you think Austin is a perfect deal, here's the catch. Property taxes in Texas are still high, and insurance costs jumped almost 20% this year. Some areas also struggle with traffic and rising utility bills. Still, if you want a modern apartment in a walkable, music-filled, foodie city, this is the first time in a decade Austin is actually affordable again. And if you think Austin's drop is big, wait until you see the next city, where rent cuts are turning into full-on bidding wars. But in reverse, landlords are lowering prices just to get people in the door. If there's one city that completely flipped the script in 2026, it's Jacksonville. For years, people moved here for sunshine, low taxes, cheaper rent, and beach life. But now, Jacksonville is dealing with something it hasn't seen in a long time. Too many apartments and not enough renters. Let's get into the numbers, because this is where things get shocking. Vacancy rate pushed past 12%, the highest in North Florida. New apartments built since 2021, more than 25,000 units. Year-over-year rent drop around 9 to 12%. Concessions, up to 6 weeks free in some luxury buildings. Yes, luxury buildings, the ones that used to have wait lists. The biggest rent collapse is happening in Southside, where developers built non-stop. Riverside and Brooklyn, where upscale apartments are suddenly half empty. Beaches area, still pricey, but softening for the first time in years. So why is this happening? Simple. Jacksonville's growth slowed, but construction didn't. Developers bet on endless demand, and demand just didn't keep up. But here's where Jacksonville stands out. Even with falling rent, the city still offers 0 state income tax, good hospitals, and a surprisingly strong retirement scene. Grocery prices run about 5% below the national average, and healthcare costs are some of the lowest in Florida. Now, the downside, And this matters. Crime is inconsistent. Some neighborhoods are very safe, while others rank above national averages. The safer pockets? Mandarin, Julenton Creek, Bartram Park, and most beach towns. The areas with higher crime? Parts of the north side and west side. Insurance is also getting more expensive. Not Miami-level crazy, but enough to matter. Still, for renters, this might be the best opportunity Jacksonville has offered in years. Modern buildings, lower prices, sunshine, beaches, and landlords who suddenly need you more than you need them. And if you think this drop is bad, wait until you see the next city, where rent is falling not by accident, but because people are leaving faster than landlords can react.
Memphis is one of those cities where, if you're not paying attention, you might completely miss what's happening. While everyone talks about Austin and Florida, Memphis is dealing with its own quiet but very real rental slide, and honestly, it's one of the most surprising in 2026. Before we even talk about prices, here's the big picture. Memphis is shrinking. People are moving out faster than they're moving in, and when that happens, the rental market flips almost overnight. And the numbers prove it. Vacancy rates have climbed past 11%, the highest the city has seen in years, and rental listings have jumped nearly 30%. That alone tells you landlords here are struggling to keep units full. Now the part renters care about, the actual prices. A clean one-bedroom that used to be around $1,200 can now be found for $850 to $1,050. Two bedrooms that went for $1,400 are slipping down to the $1,150 range in many neighborhoods. So yes, rent is falling, and falling for real. But Memphis isn't just numbers. If you like more space, slower pace, and a cost of living that sits about 18% below the national average, Memphis will feel like a relief. Groceries run cheaper, healthcare's more affordable, and you can live comfortably without overspending. Here's the part you must know. Safety varies a lot by neighborhood. Areas like Germantown, Collierville, and much of East Memphis remain stable and safer, but parts of the city stay well above national crime averages. That's the honest downside, and something retirees and families must consider carefully. Why is rent dropping? Not because of fancy new buildings, but because population decline and job losses created more empty units than renters to fill them. For someone looking for a budget-friendly move, Memphis might be one of the best money-saving options in the South right now. And the next city? Let's just say the rent crash there isn't about people leaving. It's about landlords desperately trying to compete with each other and losing. If you want to see a city where landlords are practically tripping over each other to keep tenants, look at St. Louis. This one is surprising because St. Louis didn't have a massive population explosion or an overbuilding boom, yet rent is still falling fast in 2026. Here's what's really happening. For years, St. Louis had slow, steady demand, but now renters have more options than ever and landlords are fighting for every lease. Some buildings are offering free parking, reduced deposits, and even gift cards. Yes, gift cards, just to get people in the door. The data is real. Vacancy rate pushing 10%, the highest in years. Year-over-year rent drop around 7 to 10%. Rental listings shot up nearly 25%. The biggest reason? Older buildings can't compete with all the mid-rise renovations and suburban complexes offering modern upgrades at lower prices. Where the drops are most noticeable, Midtown and Central West End, too many renovated units chasing too few renters. South St. Louis, affordable areas seeing the biggest price cuts. Downtown, strong supply but slower demand. But here's what makes St. Louis different from the others on this list. This city still has one of the lowest cost of living in the Midwest.
Groceries, utilities, healthcare all come in below national averages. You can find a one-bedroom for $900 to $1,050 and two bedrooms sliding into the $1,200 range, numbers many big cities haven't seen in a decade. Now, the honest downside. Crime is still St. Louis's biggest issue, especially around the urban core. But safer pockets like Clayton, Lafayette Square, Webster Groves, and Kirkwood feel like completely different worlds. Quiet, walkable, and retiree-friendly. St. Louis may not be glamorous, but if you care about savings, space, and renters finally having leverage, this city is quietly becoming one of the best deals in the Midwest. Milwaukee is one of the most surprising rent drops of 2026, mainly because this city was climbing in popularity just a few years ago. Young renters, remote workers, even retirees started moving here for cheaper housing and lakefront living. But now, the market has flipped so sharply that renters suddenly have all the power. Let's start with what's actually happening. Milwaukee built a lot of new apartments in the past 5 years, more than the city realistically needed. At the same time, remote work slowed, downtown offices emptied out, and demand softened. That combination created the perfect storm. Here are the numbers. Vacancy rate above 11%, one of the highest Milwaukee has seen in over a decade. Year-over-year rent drop, roughly 8 to 12%. Rental listings up nearly 35% across the metro. That's why landlords are panicking. It's not uncommon now to see offers like 1 month free, reduced security deposits, and even upgraded appliances thrown in just to attract tenants. Where rents are falling the fastest? Downtown and East Side. Too many new units, slower office traffic. Bayview, still popular, but price resistance is real. Wauwatosa, suburban apartments competing hard on price. And here's the thing. Milwaukee is still one of the most affordable cities on this list. You can find a one-bedroom in the $950 to $1,150 range and two bedrooms starting around $1,250. Groceries sit about 7% below the national average, and utilities are cheaper than most northern cities. But there's one area that renters need to be aware of. Safety varies a lot. Neighborhoods like Shorewood, Whitefish Bay, and Wauwatosa are known for being safer and more retiree-friendly, but some central and north side pockets still sit above national crime averages. That's simply the truth. The upside? Milwaukee offers lakefront living, strong hospitals, easy walkability in some neighborhoods, and a cost of living nearly 15% below the national average. The downside? Cold winters. Period. If you're not a winter person, Milwaukee will test you. But with rent dropping, vacancies rising, and landlords fighting for tenants, 2026 might be the cheapest Milwaukee has been in a long time. So, there you have it. The only 5 U.S. cities where rent is truly crashing in 2026. If you're trying to stretch your budget, downsize, or even plan ahead for retirement, this might be the first time in years where renters finally come out on top. Just remember, falling rent doesn't automatically mean a perfect fit. Always check neighborhood safety, long-term job trends, and local taxes before making any move. And if you want to compare these cities with places where home prices are dropping too, make sure to watch Top 5 U.S. Cities Where Condos Under $150K Still Exist 2026. It pairs perfectly with this video. If this helped you, hit subscribe so you don't miss the next breakdown. And for the tools I mentioned earlier, the Amazon links are waiting in the description. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.